Howdy, YouTube. It's Surge again. I'm getting a little less self-conscious doing these, so that's good. Um, Although I'm reminded by a friend's Facebook post recently that there's like an optimum middle point between being self-conscious and being self-unconscious. He didn't use the term self-unconscious, but uh, I am. So I woke up this morning with the itch to talk about the game Oddworld. I just played the remake of Abe's Odyssey on the Nintendo Switch called New and Tasty, and it had a pretty profound effect on me actually. I, I a couple of impressions for me. Um, as somebody who played Abe's Odyssey, the original game, as a kid, um, with my brother, and I think we also played Abe's Exodus too. I'm not 100% on that. I'm gonna go see if we still have the CD for that or if we do it all. But Oddworld, one impression is, and I wrote this. My finger is kind of bent. I don't know. It's always been weird to me. Anyway, one impression for me was that, and I posted this on a forum that I helped moderate. Is that it's a profoundly existential game. But I would go even deeper than that, and I would say that it's existential in a way that I'll touch on and relate with Soren Kierkegaard, the continental philosopher, the existential philosopher. It's also a very Buddhist game, and I wrote this in a YouTube comment on I was listening to the soundtrack last night. Um, so I guess I'll start with the existential component. Um, it's a profoundly existential game in the sense that, and here I'm mostly just talking about Abe's Odyssey and New and Tasty, the remake, but it relates to Abe's Exodus too, at least the title of that game, which is getting a remake, I think, in Soulstorm. I think Soulstorm is going to be a remake of the second Oddworld game, but don't quote me on that. So the existential component um, comes with what's called a leap of faith, and you take a leap of faith once you get to the end of the stockyards. In It's like the second kind of area in the game, the second like chapter of the game, and you have to jump off a cliff, and you have to make what's called in the game a leap of faith. Um, you have to chant to see that message actually appear in the sky, and it's like fireflies come together and make the sign. It's really cool. Um, the graphics were just really, really fun on the Nintendo Switch. But you take this leap of faith, you jump off the cliff. I'm pretty sure you die, or you're told you're dead. You smash your head when you hit the floor. And so that right there opens the door to a consideration of Soren Kierkegaard's concept of the leap of faith. And I haven't read as much Kierkegaard firsthand as somebody like me should have, having just done a PhD in existential humanistic psychology to some extent. Um, and So this leap of faith you take, you're visited by an elder of the Mudakin species. Your name is Abe, and you're a Mudakin. So the name Abe is already a biblical name. And so this Mudakin in a mask comes and saves you. He's like in a kind of tiki hat, or like a tiki mask. It's like a diagonal shape, which has some similarity in that sense in the Native American influence with Crash Bandicoot, but that's a bit of a tangent, maybe in its own video. So you take the leap of faith. You're visited by this elder. He's like, you're dead, but you got to wake up and you got to save your brothers. You got to save your fellow Mudokins. And that message of saving one's brothers was very, very meaningful to me as it happened. And the reason it was meaningful to me is because I actually went through New and Tasty, and I got to the bad ending, which means I didn't save enough Mudokins throughout the course of the game. And in New and Tasty, there are 299 Mudokins to save. I had saved less than half of that, like just barely. I'd saved like 146. And the bad ending consists in being told after being knocked out at the end of a boardroom. The boardroom is a chapter. Um, After being knocked out on that level, um, after going berserk, basically harnessing sacred animal mystical power of the Scrabs and the Paramites, um, you're knocked unconscious by a slig. Sligs are like the bad guys. They're like cops, kind of, but they're bad guys in this game, and so they can shoot, and then they kind of like have their own slang, and they're like, what's up, bro?" They kind of talk like that. It's pretty funny, but they're like the oppressors, kind of. They're like the second layer of oppression in the game, and so in this game, I should mention that you and your brothers are slaves, and you work at a factory, or you did before you rebelled and led the rebellion. But anyways, you're knocked unconscious. A lot of unconsciousness in this game, I guess, but which is not necessarily phenomenological, but it is existential. Um, I don't know if there's much psychoanalysis to talk about in this game from the psychology side. But anyway, you take this leap of faith, and that launches you into you have to explore the two sacred grounds for Mudokans, and that's the lands of the Scribania, which sounds like Albania, but Scrabs are one of the two mystical creatures in this game. The other such creatures are Paramites, and their land is Paramonia. And so you have to visit both of these two areas. There aren't any Mudokans to save in those areas, but there are Mudokans that give you powers if you repeat back to them what they say to you. So they'll just whistle things at you. They'll fart. I appreciate the potty humor in these games as much as the sacred elements. So they give you these powers to get through the levels. And so you're sort of on a quest to recover ancient wisdom in these games, animal wisdom, and the wisdom of your ancestors or your elders, at least. So you take the leap of faith, you go to these mystical grounds to gain insane chanting energy. Your chants in the games already have the power from the beginning to possess the sligs. And when you possess the sligs, you can do a lot of things. You can shoot your own brothers as slaves, which will get you the bad ending more than the good ending. I didn't do any of that when I got the bad ending, just saying. And so the sligs can do a lot of. They could pull levers. They could make themselves useful for you, basically. And they won't like shoot you unless you, as the player, command them to shoot you. Which is like, if you're just having a laugh, you would do that. But so you could possess the sligs, but after you go through Scribania and Paramonia, the big guy in the tiki mask that I mentioned, he brands your hands, both of them, with symbols of the Scrab and the Paramite. I think Paramite came first for me in this playthrough on the left hand, and Scrab came on the right hand. And I think the cutscenes kind of reflect like which one you do first. I don't know if those are always the same, like Scrab on the right, Paramite on the left. But in any case, right and left-handedness is somewhat spiritual. For anyone who's read Ken Wilber's work, he talks about like the left hand and the right hand paths in life, and like to knowledge and to wisdom and truth and understanding. And so anyway, there's Wilber, there's Soren Kierkegaard and existentialism, and then there's ancient elder / animal wisdom that you gain to free your brothers and to really destroy evil. That's the point of that superpower that you get when you get those scars on your hands. I think in Abe's Exodus, the sequel, you get like a kind of scar on your abdomen. It doesn't say "do what you love, we work." Rip to anyone who can't work at WeWork anymore. I never did, but maybe I should have at least once to try it. But anyway, so there's existentialism, um, and Christianity, since Kierkegaard was a Christian existentialist. He's very famous for that. Um, and the thing I'll end with is Oddworld being a very Buddhist game. I mean, I'm somebody who has chanted what's called the Bodhisattva vows numerous times. I was doing yoga under a fellow student at the University of West Georgia. She was doing her master's, but she was also a yoga instructor who went to India to learn how to do yoga. So um, we did these Bodhisattva vows, and those vows are one of them is to surpass the Buddha. That's one of the vows. Uh, Tall order, and the another one is to liberate all beings, where all beings are numerous and numberless, actually. So as Abe, I felt pretty Buddhist, saving my brothers. I've actually been playing through the game again, and I wanted to get the good ending because I was like, no, I can't stop with a bad ending. So I was going through the game again, and I'm going through it as a Buddhist this time, intent, even hellbent, on saving my brothers. Saving is like all of them. And that doesn't get you like a special cutscene as far as I know in New and Tasty. It did in the original Abe's Odyssey. You got a preview of the sequel. Maybe that's the case this game. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of like keeping myself in the dark on that on purpose. But anyway, in Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, and New and Tasty, beings are not numberless in terms of the ones you can save. And I don't know, maybe when you possess the slags and then you have to kill them when you do that. So maybe that's liberating them too in some crusade-ish kind of way. But yeah, those are just some general thoughts on Oddworld and religion. I just Googled that, and the first page has like nothing on the topic. So I was like thought that was kind of interesting because for me, the connections were very explicit. And I'm kind of in hermit mode, as my mom said. Given my beard, you could kind of tell. It's like as thick as my hair head now, so it's kind of funny. My head hair. So I think that's it for this video. It's shifting gears a bit from my past three, which have been me vlogging on my academic journey and various game franchises, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Guild Wars. But this one is just more about, it's like a cross-religious, philosophical take on Oddworld, New and Tasty. And so, yeah, that's about all I had to say there. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. But that feels kind of profane to say in a video quite heavily about religion. So maybe don't do any of that. I don't know exactly. Oddworld is a profane game too because of the farting and the laughing after you fart. So I'll stop there. Bye.